Right now we're going to work through the review worksheet, starting with section 1 of the review worksheet, which is going to be building and filling out a cost table. We're going to start with the blank table, as just like this it appears on your worksheet packet. Now you'll be given some what look like random values. Those are going to be positioned in such a way that you'll be able to follow the steps I'll give you and complete the entire cost table. They're spread out so that there's enough information and just enough information for you to complete the entire table given these values. So let's take a look at how that's going to work in terms of the steps. Now there's a simple set of steps for completing a cost table, and actually we'll add a step to this once we've completed chapter 9, and we'll be able to use the same set of steps with the additional value or the additional step added to look at the short run decision making process of a firm and how they can maximize their profits. So for step 1, we're going to fill in the total fixed cost column. To do this, we find some value, any of the rows or columns that's going to give us the ability to find fixed costs. Sometimes you'll be given total cost and total variable cost, and you can subtract to get the total fixed. Sometimes you'll be given average total and average variable, and you can subtract to get the fixed. Remember, you have to stay with the same output level when you're doing these comparisons. In our case, we're actually given the average fixed cost as 14.4. So I can take that average fixed cost of 14.4 and understanding that average times quantity equals total, okay, average value of 14.4 average fixed times the quantity of 5 gives me a total fixed cost of 72. And as it is fixed cost, that means every single unit from 0 to 10 has a total fixed cost of 72. That fills in the entire fixed cost column, or total fixed cost column. Then I move to the average fixed cost column. Now that I have a total fixed cost for every output level, I can calculate the average fixed cost for every output level by taking its total divided by the quantity or the output level itself. So I want to fill in the AFC column using this formula. Again, we skip over the 0th unit. There's no use worrying about that one. The first unit, 72 divided by 1 is 72. The second unit, 72 divided by 2 is 36. And I keep doing that right on down the line. 72 divided by 3, divided by 4, blah, 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 until I've got the entire average fixed cost column filled in. Once I've got the average fixed cost column filled in, I kind of change strategies. I've got 2 full columns, so now I'm going to start working with rows. I'm going to work across the row, dealing with a single unit of output at a time. I'm going to walk across the row from left to right as best I can, and from the top down, I'm going to start with the 0th level of output and work from the top down. Now I say left to right as best I can. Sometimes I'm going to have to bounce around a little bit within a single row, but I don't want to bounce around between rows. I want to work from top to bottom using a few key formulas. The first of which is the idea that total equals variable plus fixed. So total cost equals total variable cost plus total fixed cost. Or average total cost equals average variable plus average fixed. This also means that variable cost, or variable any value, if total equals variable plus fixed, then variable equals total minus fixed. And fixed equals total minus variable. Now you don't need to remember all of these, just remember total equals variable plus fixed, and you'll be able to rearrange it into whatever you need when you're given those variables or values. Second of our key formulas, average equals total divided by quantity. Average equals total divided by quantity So what we did here, average fixed cost equals total fixed cost divided by the quantity of units at each point in time. And from that, we can find that total equals average times quantity. That's what we did here. Total fixed cost equals the average fixed cost times the quantity we used. And also, it's a little silly, but you can also rearrange this to get quantity if you know the total and the average. So quantity equals total divided by average. But again, if you can remember simply average equals total divided by quantity, then you can rearrange it based on what you know to get the parts you don't know. Finally, for our marginal value, that's kind of an outlier. Remember, the marginal value is the change in the total value divided by the change in the quantity. Or another way of putting it, the total value with the second unit, or whatever current unit you have, minus the total value before that unit was there, divided by the quantity with the unit minus the quantity before the unit was added. With these three basic formulas, we can finish off the rest of the table by simply moving from as best as possible left to right across the rows, using the new information that becomes available with each row in combination with what we already know to try to fill in the rest of the blanks. So if I start out with an output of 0, total fixed cost is 72, and the variable cost with 0 output is $0. So 72 plus 0 gives me a total cost of 72. Total equals variable plus fixed. Okay, and over here I've included the formulas with the columns where they apply. Now I move on to unit number 1 of output. My new piece of information is that I have $20 of marginal cost for unit 1. Now the marginal cost means it's the change in total cost divided by the change in quantity. We've moved up 1 unit, so my total cost has risen by $20 from the previous unit. So I can take 72, the previous total cost, plus the marginal cost of 20, and I get a new total cost of 92. That new total cost minus the total fixed cost of 72, 92 minus 72 leaves me with 20 as my total variable cost. And then I can take that total variable cost and total cost, divide them both by the quantity of 1, and they give me the average values. With 2 units of output, my new piece of information is the marginal cost. So I take my 92 total cost with 1 unit, add in the $15 that's the marginal contributed by the second unit, and I get a total cost of 107. Subtract the 72 from that, and I'm left with $35 of total variable cost. Divide total variable cost and total cost each by the 2 units of output, and I get the average variable cost and average total cost. Moving to output level 3, my new piece of information is the average total cost is 40.67. Well, the furthest I can get to the left on that is that the total cost can be calculated by taking the average total cost times the quantity, 3, and that's now equal to 122.01. Take that 122.01, subtract the 72 of the total fixed cost, and I'm left with a total variable cost of 50.01. And if I take that value and divide it by the 3 units, I get an average variable cost of 16.67, or 16 2/3. If I take that that total cost of 122.01 minus the previous total cost, I get a marginal cost of 15.01, so about the same as my previous unit. Unit number 4 has a new piece of information that the average variable cost of unit 4 is $17.50. I can multiply that average variable cost of $17.50 times the 4 units of output and get a total variable cost of $70. add that to the 72 of fixed cost, and I get 142 total cost. Divide that 142 total cost by the 4 units that are available, and I get 35.5 as the average total cost. 142 total cost minus the 122.1 of the previous unit leaves me with 19.99 as the marginal cost. Close enough you could call it 20, I imagine. Next, I'm given a new piece of information of $25 of marginal cost added by the 5th unit. That 142 plus the $25 is going to give me a 167 total cost with 5 units total. 167 minus 72 leaves me with a 95 total variable cost. Divide that by the 5 units and I get 19 average variable cost. Divide the 167 total cost by 5 units and I get 33.4 average total cost. Total variable cost is 125 for the 6th unit. Now I also get the marginal cost, so I could do what I did up here or here and work from my total cost. But since I have the total variable cost, I can simply add it to the total fixed cost and I'll get the total cost. And then I divide the total variable by the quantity and I get the average variable. Divide the total cost by the quantity and I get the average total. Next on the list, for the 7th unit of output, we're given 160 as the total variable cost. We again add that to the total fixed cost to get a total cost of 232. Divide the total variable by 7 to get the average variable, and the total cost by 7 to get the average total. And then take that total cost minus the previous total cost from Unit 6 to get the marginal cost of Unit 7, which is $35. For Unit 8, my new piece of information is that the total cost is 272. Subtract 72, that's going to leave me with a total variable cost of 200. Divide that 200 by the 8 units and I get an average variable cost of 25. Divide the 272 by 8 and I get an average total cost of 34. And then for the marginal cost, I take the total cost with Unit 8 and the total cost with only Unit 7. And I get 272 minus 232. Unit 8's marginal cost is $40. Unit 9, our new piece of information is that the total variable cost of Unit 9 is 250. So we add that to the 72 of fixed cost and we get 322 for the total cost. Divide the 250 by 9 and we get the average variable cost of 27.78. Divide the total cost by 9 and we get the average total cost of 35.78. Take the total cost of Unit 9 minus the total cost of Unit 8 and we find the marginal cost of Unit 9 is $50. Last one. The new piece of information is that the marginal cost of Unit 10 is $70. So I'm going to go back to the way I did the first one, and I'm going to add that $70 to the marginal cost of Unit 9, to the total cost of Unit 9, giving me a total cost for Unit 10 of $392. Subtract the $72 from the total fixed cost, and that leaves me with a total variable cost of $320. Divide that 320 by the 10 units and I get 32 average variable cost. Divide the total cost by the 10 units and I get an average total cost of 39.2. Now you can rewind the video, go back to any of the steps you want, pause the video, and work your way through this. You will be expected to complete a table like this on the exam.